All right, everybody, welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into something pretty major happening over in Morocco.
Oh, yeah.
It's big proposed changes to their family code.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, big changes. 139 amendments,
Whoa.
which is massive. It's like a
Right.
total overhaul.
I mean, that sounds like they're really trying to
Yeah,
shake things up.
exactly. So we're going to break it all down for you.
Okay.
What these amendments say, what they could mean for Moroccan society.
Yeah, how this is going to change things.
Exactly.
All right, so to really get this, we need to understand the family code is like the foundation of family life in Morocco. I mean,
Right.
it governs everything: marriage, divorce, inheritance, parent-child relationships.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's really woven into the fabric of their society. And these amendments, they didn't just appear out of thin air. They're a response to years of advocating for gender equality.
Oh, wow. So this is about modernizing the legal framework
Yeah.
to better reflect like where Morocco is today.
I think that's a good way to put it. It'll be really interesting to see how these changes play out, because traditional values are still very strong there.
For sure. Okay, let's get into it. One of the biggest headlines is the changes around polygamy.
Oh, yeah, that's a hot topic.
Yeah, so now a man needs his wife's consent before taking additional wives.
Okay.
But there's also this exceptional cases clause.
Right. So it's not like a complete ban. Polygamy would still be allowed, in situations like if the wife is infertile,
I see.
but then who decides what counts as exceptional?
Right.
I think we're going to see some legal challenges around that and a lot of debate about how to interpret that.
Right. You could have families basically arguing
Yeah.
whether their situation qualifies.
Exactly. And think about it on a societal level. Imagine the discussions this will spark, especially in communities where polygamy is more common.
Oh, absolutely, it seems like. Yeah. They're really walking a fine line here between being progressive
Yeah.
and respecting those cultural sensitivities.
Yeah, they're trying to find that balance.
Right. Okay, let's move on to divorce.
All right.
So they're trying to make that whole process a lot smoother and faster.
Less complicated.
Yeah, and less time-consuming.
Makes sense.
But what's really interesting is they're introducing shared custody,
Wow.
which is a huge change in Moroccan law.
Yeah, that's a big step.
Right, because traditionally, mothers had primary custody.
Yeah.
So how do you think this is going to play out? Will it actually lead to more equal parenting?
Well, that's the goal. But I think there could be some hurdles.
Like what kind of hurdles?
Well, you have to think about logistics, like transportation between homes,
Okay.
communication between the parents, and even just societal acceptance of fathers taking on a more active role.
That makes sense.
It's going to be a shift, but I think a positive one overall.
Oh, for sure. And then there's this provision that lets divorced women keep custody, even if they remarry.
That's significant.
Yeah, it really challenges those traditional norms.
Yeah.
Where they might have lost custody before.
It does, and, it really emphasizes the woman's right to move on with her life without being penalized. And it prioritizes the stability of the children.
Right, so it's really putting their well-being first.
Yeah, I think that's a really positive aspect of this.
Makes sense. Another major change is raising the legal marriage age to 18,
Okay.
which seems like a very clear effort to try to prevent child marriage.
Definitely, it sets a strong legal standard. But there are some exceptions where marriage at 17 is possible with a judge's approval.
So there are some loopholes.
Yeah, and those could be vulnerable to misuse, so it'll be crucial to monitor how they're applied in practice.
Right, because you don't want those exceptions to undermine the whole point of raising the age.
Exactly. They need to be carefully considered to ensure they're not being exploited.
All right, now let's talk about inheritance.
Okay, so this is a tricky one because it's deeply rooted in tradition, and Islamic inheritance laws generally favor male heirs. The amendments don't actually change those laws.
So the core principles remain the same.
Yeah, but they do introduce something interesting.
What's that?
Individuals can give assets to their daughters as gifts
Oh, wow.
while they're still alive.
So it's like a workaround?
Yeah, you could say that. It gives people more control over their assets.
And it could help level the playing field for their daughters?
Yeah, it's a way to promote more equitable distribution.
Ah. I'm curious how people are reacting to all of this.
It's been a mixed bag. Organizations focused on women's rights and human rights, they're really celebrating these changes.
Yeah.
They see them as huge steps forward. But there's also some concern out there, particularly among men, about how these changes will impact family stability and traditional values.
So there's some anxiety about how this will reshape family structure in Morocco,
Yeah, because it's not just about laws. It's about shifting societal norms and expectations.
which can be a really tough process.
Absolutely, change is never easy.
So what happens next? Where do these amendments go from here?
Well, they go to Parliament next for discussion and a vote. And that's where things could get even more interesting.
Right, because they could make changes.
Yeah, they could make further amendments.
Yeah.
Or even reject some of the proposals.
So this is just the start of a much bigger conversation.
Exactly. And it's a conversation worth having, not just for Morocco, but potentially for other countries facing similar challenges.
Yeah, it could be a model for other places,
That's right.
trying to balance tradition and gender equality.
It'll be fascinating to see what happens, how this unfolds.
We'll definitely be following this story closely. It's a powerful reminder that societies are always evolving, and the law sometimes needs to catch up
That's a great point.
to reflect those changes. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.